What is up, everybody? Welcome to another World Cup preview as I continue to roll through Group F. Before I jump in to Croatia, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of these World Cup previews as we're less than a month away at this point, and you don't miss all of the other content I put out every single week. You can also find my written work on Substack, touchlinetalk.substack.com, as well as on Medium. Okay, today, Croatia. Sixth World Cup appearance for Croatia, also made it in 1998, 2002, 2006, 2014, and 2018. You might remember 2018, it was Croatia's best finish because Croatia got to the final where they ultimately lost to France. But they got there. It was an incredible run, nearly won the whole thing. So, best finish, last World Cup, Croatia were runners up. To get back to this World Cup, got through their UEFA qualifying group, 7 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in a group that included Cyprus, Malta, Russia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. They won the group by a point, got through, did what they had to do to get one of those automatic spots in Qatar. In terms of your key players, there's going to be a theme here that I'm going to talk about at the end when it comes to the reason to be confident about this team. But key player number 1, Marcelo Brozovic. Marcelo Brozovic started 4 games at the 2018 World Cup, 3 times at Euro 2020, played the most minutes on this team during World Cup qualifying. He is, at this point, one of the best holding midfielders in the world. He's just kind of quietly excellent at Inter. You know, they're not necessarily making themselves a threat to win a Champions League or something like that. He has a Serie A title to show for his service to Inter. But it's easy for some of these Italian teams when they're not competing at the highest level to kind of fly under the radar. Marcelo Brozovic has been outstanding. He's an integral part of that Inter team and of Inter's rise to getting back to being one of the top teams in Europe. He has 299 appearances for the club, waiting on 300. He's currently getting back from an injury that was supposed to sideline him until right about now as I'm recording this on November 2nd. Of course, this World Cup makes those windows tight, so I do want to acknowledge that he is still working back from this. He's still trying to get back on the field for Inter, so there might be some questions in terms of, at the very least, fitness and kind of how game ready he is heading into this World Cup. But he could be back at any moment here as he's trying to recover. There's a chance he gets to 300 appearances before this World Cup starts, but if there's any way he can play, he's going to make this team because he is a vital part. He does the same important job for Croatia that he does for Inter Milan, and that is just making everybody's life easier by being the guy who sets tempo, controls games in the middle of the field. Staying in the middle of the field, key player number 2, of course, is Luka Modric. Luka Modric is probably, if not certainly, the greatest Croatian men's soccer player of all time. He is the country's all-time leader in appearances. He has won 5 Champions League. He has won La Liga 3 times. And he came away from the 2018 World Cup with the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player because Croatia doesn't go on that memorable run and get to a final without Luka Modric. He is one of the very few players who seems to be able to defy Father Time. Yes, he's not the same player he was in 2018 or as he was in his prime in, his late 20s or whatever, but he's still awfully, awfully productive for Real Madrid, playing at the highest level, producing in big moments in the Champions League like he did last season. It's remarkable what he's doing. He is still every bit as important to this team as he was in 2018. Because he's continuing to deliver game in and game out despite his age. It is incredible what he is doing. This might be the last go-around, so soak it all in for one of the greatest players of this generation who was kind of always overshadowed as, guy 2 or guy 3 on that Real Madrid team. When you think about Cristiano Ronaldo and now you think about Karim Benzema, Luka Modric's name is never the first one that comes to your mind. But you go look at the individual, the team accolades he has, what he was able to accomplish. It speaks for himself. He is outstanding. He doesn't get the recognition. This was kind of, that 2018 was sort of the opportunity to finally recognize him individually because of what he was doing for club and country. He is the man for this Croatia team, the face of the country, the name to know, Luka Modric. And then third, I went with Ivan Perisic. This is going to be Ivan Perisic's sixth major tournament, 3 European Championships, 2 World Cups. Part of the reason I went with him is he does have 5 goals and 2 assists in 10 World Cup appearances. He's been excellent at all major tournaments, but specifically the World Cups. And the other thing about Ivan Perisic is all of that experience at the very highest level in terms of European competition. He's won the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. He won the Champions League with Bayern Munich. He won Serie A on that Inter Milan team. He has now chosen to go to the Premier League with Spurs. This is another team who's playing in the Champions League with another team with high expectations. He is trying to, he's kind of mentioned this, I've seen, where he's trying to get to as many of these top 5 European leagues as possible. He's had an incredible career. Like I said, delivering in the biggest moments for this Croatia team. He kind of just plays somewhere on the wing, somewhere out wide, whether it's as a true winger, whether it's as a wing back. He's got a special delivery. That is what he is known for. You're seeing it with Spurs this season, the impact he can make when he comes into a game or when he actually gets to start. He is another one of these guys that is right up there with the very best player. Not necessarily, I mean, he's not on Modric's level, but when you sort of start looking at this Croatia team outside of Modric and you go, oh, there's a reason they made the 2018 World Cup final. It's because they have an incredible list of players. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. And Ivan Perisic is one of those guys you very quickly go to, as he really has had an outstanding career and continues to be an outstanding player. In terms of a breakout star, Joško Gvardiol, RB Leipzig. He's going to turn 21 just after the World Cup. He made his national team debut right before Euro 2020, those final tune-ups, the days leading up to the tournament. Proceeded to start every game at the tournament. He moved to RB Leipzig for the 2021-22 season. Started 40 times in all competitions. He has very quickly, since Euro 2020, cemented himself as a regular starter for this Croatia team on the back line. He is consistently playing for RB Leipzig. He is one of those guys who he already got that sort of middle move, and you're already hearing the rumors about the biggest clubs in the world going after Joško Gvardiol because of what he's already been able to do, his potential. He is going to be a name to know for the future in terms of the better defenders in the world, kind of those rising stars. And so this is he got that first tournament first tournament out of the way, got that experience at Euro 2020, but this is really his first opportunity as sort of an established player for a very, very good European club to kind of introduce himself to the entire world and cement himself as one of the faces of this Croatia team moving forward. In terms of the bottom line, the reason for optimism for this team is very simple. It is the midfield. It is the reason they got to the 2018 final. It is the reason they are dangerous again in 2022. Now, it's going to look a little bit different because that was a Luka Modric, Ivan Rakitic duo in the middle of the field for 2018 mostly. And now it's going to be some combination of Modric, Mateo Kovacic, and Marcelo Brozovic. So the players, I mean, Modric is still there. The players are it's going to be constructed a little bit differently. It's not quite 2018 in terms of getting 2 guys like Modric and Rakitic in their primes. Modric is still playing at a very high level. He's just not the player because ultimately even he can't defeat Father Time. So it's not quite 2018, but it's not all that far off because of the addition of Brozovic, because of what Kovacic can bring you, and what Modric still offers. There just aren't many teams in the world that can throw that kind of midfield and control a game from the middle of the field that way. And to have a difference maker like Modric who can win you a game by himself It's an incredibly powerful combination. Like I said, it is why they were able to make that run in 2018. It's the reason why they can make another run in this tournament if they're going to. The concern and the difference between 2018 and now is the changes in that defense. And the question being, will that back line hold up? 7 games at the 2018 World Cup, Croatia conceded 9 goals. Croatia conceded 8 goals in 4 games at Euro 2022. Euro 2020. As kind of the overhaul was beginning to happen in terms of who is getting the minutes on that back line. Guys like Joško Gvardiol starting to play key roles for this team. You look at the guys who played the minutes on the back line during qualifying, it's a very different group than at the 2018 World Cup, where you had some names more names you might recognize playing key roles. This is kind of the changing of the guard there. A lot of what's happening higher up the field looks the same, or it's guys like Marcelo Brozovic who maybe weren't key players before, but had that experience and are among the better players in the world. Names you recognize. That's not the case with this defense. And you saw what happened against Spain. And yes, that accounts for, a significant amount of those goals, but you go back and look at 2018, Croatia were able to keep clean sheets some of the time. And France put a lot of goals past them in the final. But that is my question, is can you get that balance? Can you get what you need from your defense? Can they really rise to the occasion? Because it's going to be heavily reliant on guys who have not been in this position before. Maybe they've played in a Euro, they've played in World Cup qualifying, but they have not seen the pressure of a World Cup before. So that is my question for this team. It's difficult to see kind of the stars aligning for another incredible run to a semifinal or a final. I'm going to say that right off the bat. But the reality is that midfield gives you a chance. This group scares me. Canada is perhaps the most undervalued team in terms of this draw and, the teams you could put into a group as a third team. The way they had to go through qualifying, the way that the World Cup rankings don't like them, puts them they are not seeded correctly, which puts Croatia in a difficult position. Certainly, Croatia's got the ability to get out of this group. Talent-wise, they're still probably the second best team. Although, you can go watch my Canada preview. To me, it's really, really close. If they can get out of this group, though, you get into the same situation you did in 2018. Nobody wants to face this team. They can control any game because of what they have in the midfield. Modric can compensate for some of your shortcomings, can compensate for some of your mistakes. They proved in 2018 they can do it, so they certainly can do it again. I just find it hard to believe they're going to get every break they need. And similar to another team in this group, Belgium, this is not the best rendition of this group of players that has been so good and is so talented. 2018 was probably the best of that group, and if not, it was earlier than that. And now you're trying to sort of integrate this next generation in, while also still relying on some of these guys who are now in their, early, mid, late 30s. Certainly you're not going to rule it out. If they get to the knockout stage, it's, one game at a time, and on any given day, they can go beat anybody in the world. It's not out of the question. They are right there again in the semifinals. I just don't see it happening because so much has to go right, and this makeup doesn't give you as much breathing room because, like I mentioned before, what set that 2018 team apart was that duo in the midfield. And it's going to look different, and Modric is not, as good as he still is, he's not the same player. So I would not be surprised at all if Croatia fails to get out of this group. I would not be stunned if we watch Croatia giving somebody, one of the favorites of Brazil or somebody, all they can handle in the quarterfinals. I'm going to lean more toward they get out of the group and exit in the round of 16 or quarterfinals range. If they were in a different group, I would feel even more comfortable about them getting out. It's not that I'm worried about Croatia. It's just there are 3 teams who deserve to be in the round of 16 in this group, and one of them's not going to make it. So I don't see a super deep run, but you can't rule it out because they've done it before. They can absolutely do it again, and they have those pieces in the midfield that very, very few teams in the world can match up with. So that is Croatia. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.